Hey everybody, it's Kneecap here, and in this video we have the 2024 World of Warcraft roadmap that was released. In the This Week in WoW video, I mentioned that there could be potential a lot of news coming out this week as they go on vacation to kind of like give us a bunch of stuff to talk about and also just get it done with so they can go on vacation. And this is one of the things I was definitely expecting to see. They did release a classic roadmap as well, but for this video we're just going to talk about the retail roadmap here. So in 10.2.5, so this is the patch that we're going to be getting, this winter, probably January, whatever. We have the Dragon Isle epilogue, so like the end of the story, kind of the Dragonflight story. We have the Reclamation of Gilneas, which this is actually pretty cool. This is something that I've always wanted them to do for Gnomeregan, right? Now, obviously, there's a famous dungeon associated with that, so maybe it's not quite as easy, but I always wanted, why do the 19 years later the gnomes still don't have a home, essentially? But Reclamation of the Gilneas should be really cool nonetheless. Dragon riding worldwide, so you get dragon ride everywhere in this next patch that's going to be coming out. Follower dungeons, if you don't know what that is kind of going to be the precursor to delves, which is coming in the War Within. So these are going to be dungeons where you can actually have NPCs come with you. I think Final Fantasy does something like this, and it allows you to complete dungeons with NPCs. So instead of making the content completely soloable, you go in there with NPCs that help you out, essentially. It's still pretty easy, but it's just a way to do the content while still just playing your role, right? It's different than going into a dungeon and just tanking, healing yourself, killing everything, right? There's a different feel to it, and also things not dying in one shot, etc. We also have Azerothian Archives. I honestly have no idea what that is. First time I've actually ever seen that. And we have the Outland Cup as well, which is going to be a dragon riding races in the Outlands, as you could guess. Hearthstone Anniversary event, apparently, too. Probably some toy or something in the game. Nothing big there for me. 10.2.6, it has like a pirate thing, so I guess some sort of a pirate thing. I have no idea. This patch was actually just found recently. They're actually doing this little mini 10.2.6. Maybe it's gonna have something to do with pirates. It certainly kind of feels that way. The War Within Alpha is supposed to start sometime after that. Obviously, I would really hope I get invited to that, but I do not think I will. But that would be amazing if I did. The War Within Alpha will be starting around then, which should be, if I had to guess, looks like, kind of like the beginning of spring. So late February, early March, maybe, could be there. Season 4 then starting at the very beginning of spring. This is going to be the season, the Fated season, right? So I think it's important to mention this here. This is the place to mention it. When you use a Fated season as filler, so you don't have to wait long between expansion and end of one expansion, beginning of the other, I think that's fine. When you're replacing content with it, I think that's less fine. In this case, it's kind of threading that needle where it's kind of both. So let's say this comes out in March. You then have April, May, June, July, August, September. 6 months, which is how long a season lasts usually. Now, obviously, they like to do the pre-patch, right, too. So you would be talking more about a 4 or 5 month season before like the pre-patch comes out, and so maybe that's what they're trying to avoid there. So like if you're substituting a Fated season in for 4 months of downtime, I think that kind of is okay. But if it was the full 6 months, then that's where I think, so if like this is end of March and the pre-patch begins in like August or September, right, then you're talking about, like, let's say end of March, like very end of March, April, May, June, July, August. So I would want the pre-patch to start in August. If the pre-patch doesn't start till December, then I think it kind of starts to get to the point where you kind of feels bad. Obviously, to break the veil, they release these things based on what quarter they want to release them in. If they decide they need to release this in quarter 4, then they'll push back the release, and then the Fated season will feel even worse. I don't think they'll push up the release though, under any circumstances. Continuing in season 4, we also have new PvP season. This can be this is one thing that can be fresh even in a faded season, because it's just about tuning and meta and stuff like that. So if you're into PvP or still enjoying PvP somehow in World of Warcraft, there will be a new PvP season for you. There also is a new Mythic Plus season. I think kind of what people kind of think might happen is it will be all the Dragonflight dungeons, which we've never played all together before. They could do a whole nother new pool of dungeons in theory, but kind of everyone thinks it'll be just the Dragonflight dungeons. And then there's going to be new open world rewards. That just means item level of open world stuff, like all the events that are in the game now. Even the old events, I should remind people that those give you the current, you know, track of gear. Not like high-end gear necessarily, but on the current track. Like, it doesn't give you the... If you go do the events from the beginning of Dragonflight, it doesn't give you beginning of Dragonflight item level. It gives you, like, current item level. So... that just means that they're going to increase the rewards of the open world activities. And then we're going to get a 10.2.7 at the end of spring, towards the end of spring. Time running Pandemonium. I assume this has something to do with time walking and stuff. I actually don't know what this has to do with. Harbinger quest. I'm guessing that's just more quest line, more story. Troll in Draenei heritage armor. So you can... get your, you know, race armor or whatever for those, especially if you love trolls and Draenei or Draenei. And then their new holiday event, no idea what that could be as well. The War Within beta is supposed to start around this time as well, so beginning of summer. Now this I, you know, probably will get into. I won't say for sure, of course, but you know, once this hits, we're going to be heavily in the War Within. When the alpha hits, we're going to be talking a lot about the War Within on this channel. When beta hits, we're going to be really diving deep into the War Within. The pre-patch is going to come out, of course, before it looks like the beginning of summer by this marker here. So we have world events. So that's obvious, like invasions and stuff like that, right? We're going to have access to our war bands before it even comes out, which is really nice. Dynamic flight. I thought that was here already. Dragon Riding Worldwide. Oh, dynamic. Maybe they are releasing it on other mounts. So Dragon Riding Worldwide means you can use your Dragon Riding mounts worldwide. Dynamic Flight means you can use all of your mounts as Dragon Riding mounts. And then guild updates. You know, I always think the UI on guild and stuff could use updated. So, you know, that's, you know, as long as it works, I imagine this is going to be a good thing. And then, of course, towards the end of summer, so I predict this will be about September, personally. This is what I've always predicted. We're going to have, obviously, the new campaign, the delves. We've talked about delves here, hero talents. We've talked about hero talents here, Earth and Allied Race, new zones, dungeons, raid, PvP season. The kind of the stuff that you kind of just expect to get with buying the box of the expansion or the digital download of the expansion. And then content update early on in the middle of fall, with more story and quests, new content and system updates, and the 20th anniversary event, which I'm sure they'll make a big deal out of. And if you haven't played for a while or something, there'll probably be pretty good rewards for this 20th anniversary thing. I'm just guessing because that's a big mark or whatever, and they seem to like hype that up a lot. So you might want to, even if you just want to buy 1 month of subscription, it might be worth checking out the 20th anniversary event. You still got a year to think about it, but I imagine this will be kind of a big deal. So yeah, this is the roadmap. I'm overall generally positive about it, especially because the release of the War Within seems to be more in line with what I was thinking. A lot of people are like, well, it's going to be like November of, you know, 2024. And I'm like, I think it's going to be September. And I had some people push back on me on that, but I'm like, I really think it's going to be September. And judging by this is like between spring and summer for the pre-patch. So, you know, are we going to get the pre-patch in June or July? In which case, if the pre-patch is in June or July, either of those 2 months, right? Even towards the end of July, then all of a sudden the faded season feels a lot less bad because we're going to be getting into that pre-patch, and a guild like mine wouldn't be done with a new raid probably, or barely getting done with the new raid in time for this pre-patch, when the pre-patch is going to ruin everything. And you know, I guess you could still let us have cutting edge, even though like we get like updates on our characters, hopefully more power, not less. But yeah, it kind of makes things a little bit fuzzy. But yeah, if the War Within was set to come out like at the end of this timeline, closer to the winter, then I would be very critical of this Fated season in particular. But because it fell in line with more of what I was thinking, I'm kind of okay with it. So yeah, this is the timeline for 2024. You know, lots of stuff to do videos on throughout this year, obviously. Starting, the biggest thing is going to be starting, of course, with the War Within Alpha comes out. We're going to get a chance to see some things. I don't expect to be in the Alpha, but I still expect to see things and talk about it, report on it, that kind of thing. And then hopefully get into the beta and play it as well. So super excited, generally positive. You know, if some of the things I kind of questioned a little bit end up being bad, of course, I'll talk about that as well. But as of now, pretty positive. As always, I do ask you to please subscribe to the channel because it helps me out a lot. And other than that, everybody have a good one.